Peter, hi.
Hi, Roshi.
Thank you.
Nice to have you here.
Thank you very much.
You are already a solicitor for over 20 years. It's quite a long time.
Yes.
If you think back on your career, what was the first time that technology really changed the way you work?
So I started my career at a very old school law firm called Slaughter and May. That was back in 2022. And the invention at that time was for BlackBerry. It was the ubiquitous tool that everyone would use. It was a kind of a killer tool for all lawyers. And what that meant was we were on 24/7, always reachable to our clients, to the partners more importantly, and they could just find us anywhere and we can work from anywhere all the time. And thinking about how AI now applies, I mean, for BlackBerry would let you be reachable 24/7, and now we have AI and you can now be working, and the AI can be working for you 24/7. I think that's the new thing.
Yeah, so BlackBerry made it possible to work 24/7, and now we have AI who's working for you 24/7. So
Exactly.
you can work 24/7, and then AI can also work 24/7. But can you imagine a time before having a phone?
No, it's hard. And now I have kids, and we're always strapped to their phones. So it's difficult to imagine a time before that we were connected 24/7.
And you have a very impressive career. And if we go back to 2008, there was a big financial crisis, of course, worldwide. It started in the US, then it spread out all over the world. And you were working at a bank at that moment?
No, the firm I was working for was advising the UK government during the global financial crisis.
Yeah.
And that was back in 2008. And just at that time, the exercise that we were doing, it was a major due diligence exercise before the government bailed out the two banks, RBS and Lloyds.
Like a stress test?
It was real. It's a real deal.
It was a real deal.
The banks were going to fail, and then before the weekend, we had to do a due diligence exercise on all the bank's documentation, and that was just a huge kind of paper-driven exercise. So we had boxes and hundreds of boxes filled with thousands of documents, and we had a team of lawyers just reviewing those documents throughout the weekend.
Reading.
Just reading, reviewing, kind of tabulating. And then, I was thinking about this on the way here. We kind of had a giant human pyramid of lawyers, right? So at the bottom, you've got, your trainees, your paralegals reviewing the physical paper documents. And then they would pass that information on to kind of the junior associates who would then review what they're doing, produce a report. That would go up to a senior associate that would review the report. And that ultimately would go to the partner to say, look, here's the answer. Here's, all that work. And then obviously the partner would then face off to the client to explain what we've done. AI, I think, removes a lot of those bottom layers.
Way more efficient.
And as it becomes more sophisticated, it'll start removing some of its higher layers as well. So obviously it can do the grunt work of reviewing thousands of pages of documents, but then, it can start writing reports, and it starts to apply intelligence to all that data. So we're in really fascinating.
So in 2008, it was like a paper trail of documents. You needed to go through all those documents to find your information, to find your answers, to make sure that the advice you were giving was correct.
Yes.
And now AI is going to take that away.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Where were you when ChatGPT launched? It was the end of 2022.
So ChatGPT launched the year during my launch of LawBEAM.
Yeah.
So we founded LawBEAM, a legal practice which is kind of built on AI. Right, we're very driven by AI technology. It's very different to a traditional law firm.
Blockchain.
And when we started LawBEAM, we were working on our own kind of global rules engine. We wanted to get all the laws and regulations on the planet, feed it into the machine, and then have AI kind of interpret those laws and regulations and provide legal advice. At that time, this is before ChatGPT, it was a highly ambitious and kind of challenging project, and we kind of probably bit off a bit more than we could chew. It was like a gigantic task. And when ChatGPT hit, it showed us how far we were just light years ahead. So then we started using ChatGPT technology as opposed to kind of our own, because we were nowhere close.
But how was it possible that you were already paying so much attention to AI before ChatGPT launched?
So I've always had an interest in technology and its application to the practice of law and its application to business and kind of wider society. And I think initially my interest in AI in law was sparked by a wonderful little book that I read called Tomorrow's Lawyer by Richard Susskind, who I know that you're a fan of. And in that book, a compelling case was made about how the use of AI will disrupt the traditional law firm model. And that, the case being made that you need to do more for less, right? Laws and regulations are becoming more and more complicated. Clients want more from their lawyers, but at the same time, they don't want to pay exorbitant fees that have been paying historically. So there's a real tension, and using AI kind of breaks that model.
And you were trying to build like a global rule book, which is a very ambitious task.
Yes.
And then ChatGPT launched. Things became easier to build such a rule book.
Things became much easier and just much faster. So we started experimenting with ChatGPT. Then we moved on to using Claude, built by Anthropic. We found Claude to be kind of better at drafting legal documents. Then we moved on from Claude to Grok, which was just faster and more up to date. So we've been experimenting with all different types of AI tools at LawBEAM and the work that we do.
You say we? Are you were really testing with your whole team?
Yes.
Or, yes.
Everyone
was trying and seeing and experimenting.
Yes, and kind of feeding back. This is better. This is good for this. This is good for that.
Like a quick feedback loop.
Yes. Yeah. And then along came Andri.
Yeah. How did you find Andri?
So Andri was recommended to us by a client. Actually, it was a client that said, "Look, I'm working with these guys, a technology client."
Yeah. When was this?
Probably about a year and a half ago now. And I got introduced to the team at Andri. They said, "Look, let us do a demo." And just very different because the competitors are huge technology companies, and the team at Andri are kind of small boutique, kind of like LawBEAM.
Really built for law.
Yes, and we were just blown away by the platform. I mean, it was just as good as all the other tools we've been using, but it was purpose built for law, and they could be responsive to our needs. We were like, "Look, have you thought about this? Can you do a tweak here? Can you do this?" And we were kind of working with them to kind of perfect the tool.
That's hard if you want to call OpenAI.
Yeah, you can't do it. Right? You can't call Google. Yeah,
good luck.
Yeah, exactly. So
and now you had a product where you could really call the people who build it, and give feedback, and say, "Hey, it would be very nice if we have this function, for example, or this application." It just said we were blown away. Were you blown away by how it looked, the things it could do, all the different functions? What made you be blown away?
There were zero errors. So whenever we use any other large language model, invariably we're faced with hallucinations. So our sector is kind of crypto and digital assets. And one example was we were doing some research on crypto airdrops, which is when tokens are dropped direct to your wallet.
Yeah, free money.
the large language model started talking about helicopters. So it obviously had some confusion between airdropping and helicopters. So it's just, it was bizarre. And we see a lot of those kind of errors with, black box large language models whereas when we were using Andri, we didn't have any hallucinations, which was something new. It was kind of, and it makes you feel very confident about the tool that you're using. It just felt a lot more robust.
I mean, you are a lawyer. Your profession is all about trust.
Yes.
AI is the same. It's all about trust. And if you use a system where you get like hallucinations, how can you trust it?
You can't. And we have a very demanding client base, and they move very fast, and we can't make mistakes. So when things go wrong, we just can't have that happening at LawBEAM. We need to get things right. You're paying your lawyer to get things right, and you can't be using inferior AI tools and then saying, "Oh, blame it on the AI." So we need something which is kind of battle tested and ready. And Andri kind of felt like that. And also being able to have direct contact with the team at Andri, that helps very much because you're kind of working together.
What did you told the team since the 1.5 year that you work with Andri? Did you give them a lot of feedback? Did you ask for specific applications?
We're feeding back all the time. I think one of the things we wanted kind of a bigger context window. We want to be able to create Word documents from the output. So these are all kind of ease of use and kind of making the tool more user friendly.
And you just said we are in an industry with clients who move very fast. They want to have quick answers. The answers are very important because they have businesses with a lot of money. They're scaling fast.
Yes.
Can you give a use case of how you used Andri to make your advice better or speed up your review process or your legal research process?
So today meetings more and more are recorded, right? So we have a Zoom meeting or a Google Meets meeting. People always tend to kind of have an AI tool on there which is recording the meeting.
And then you have the transcript.
Then you got a transcript, which didn't really happen in the old. You'd have the note taker writing everything down, whereas today, every single meeting's kind of recorded, transcribed, it's all there. So this case, it had, hundreds of meetings throughout the year. They had a weekly meeting, we had a monthly meeting, we had different ad hoc meetings, and all those meetings were recorded and transcribed. So our starting point was we had kind of a treasure trove of information to go through. Now, to do that manually, to read every single transcript of every single meeting throughout the course of a year would take a very, very, very long time.
That would bring you back to 2008.
Yes, exactly. And it would be very expensive for the client. And actually, the client probably wouldn't have wanted to invest that much in the lawyer time taking to do that. So, with the client's consent, we're like, can we use Andri, which is the latest tool we're kind of using more and more in our practice? Can we just use the Andri tool?
You asked the client.
Yes, because we were very transparent about when we're not using AI tools, especially with the sensitive information. And then we uploaded everything into Andri, thousands of transcripts, and then within like 5 minutes, you're just getting quality outputs. And we were trying to find with two parties that were disagreeing about if they agreed to accept the product or not, if it's a suitable quality. Well, let's find out within all this. With all these meetings, whether they actually accepted the quality of a product, whether they praised it, whether they hated it, how did that play out in these meetings? And it was able to actually pick out specific sentences that we needed to make our case. So it's hugely powerful. And to do that manually would have taken forever, and you might not even been able to get it right. So it was like magic when that happened. So it would have taken us 100 hours. That was condensed down to 10 minutes. That's incredible.
That's a crazy saving of time.
But we're also offering a service that wouldn't have existed, right? Because we just wouldn't have gone that way. So we're
also, your answer is getting better.
The answers are getting better, but you're creating services that perhaps wouldn't have even been contemplated if it wasn't for the AI technology, right? Because that would have been impossible. So that's where the real power comes in. It's creating new types of advice at a fraction of the cost and at speed.
What was the response of your client?
Again, just amazed.
They were also blown away.
There's no way you can remember every single conversation you had over the course of a year, whereas Andri could just pick it out.
And what I really like about Andri is that it's very, very transparent about the thinking steps. Like you can see which steps Andri is taking in the thinking process and in the process of getting to an answer, which is different if you, for example, go to ChatGPT or you go to Grok or you go to Gemini.
Yeah.
Of course, you see some general steps they take, but you have no idea if they go left or right. That's a big difference. It's more like a black box, where Andri is not a black box at all.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I mean, to use the analogy of, if you have an associate doing work for you, you'd ask them, what was the approach you took? How did you get that answer? What did you look into? Where was your research? Kind of show me your working. Andri does that for you, so it can kind of tell you, this is the approach that I took. So you can kind of interrogate the approach that it's taking, which is, again, hugely valuable compared to kind of the other tools. As every mathematician student knows, the teacher always asks you, can you show me your working? How do you get to this answer? So that's exactly what Andri does.
Do you see Andri as a very, very high professional associate?
Yes and no. I mean, in how it interacts with you and communicates with you, it is like a quality associate, absolutely. and it just gets on with the tasks that you need it to do. It's not like an associate because it can do so much more, and it can work 24/7. I mean, going back to my days, we did work 24/7 in the olden days. Whereas, yeah, it can always be on, and it can do more, and it can work faster, and it can synthesize huge amounts of information, which obviously no human lawyer can do. So it's kind of it's yes plus everything else.
Your team has it running 24/7 in the sense that it's always on with reviewing information, doing legal research.
Not quite. We're not running it at capacity yet, right? But I think we'll get to a point where, yeah, you will have it doing. You'll just have it acting as an army of lawyers, right? We're not quite using it at that scale yet. We're using it in our day to day.
What will happen?
And all the lawyers are using it. But I think the next phase is can you get it to do everything that an associate would do?
What will happen to your firm when you use this 24/7? I mean, you have a firm of 6 people who work full time, and then you have a flexible scale of people who are helping you, like experts on certain tasks. Let's say you add Andri to this 24/7.
Yes.
How fast will you scale with your firm?
That's something that we are working through right now.
Do you have any idea?
So, like I said, we've got a kind of a small core team, and we've got lawyers in kind of different jurisdictions as well. We've got one in Canada, India, Dubai, Hong Kong, and a small London team.
You are all over the world with a very small team,
and they're all kind of using Andri as their to give them that information edge. What the future law firm looks like without any lawyers and just AI agents doing, or Andri agents doing all the legal work. That is, we're kind of working.
I think it's more a combination between the lawyers, and then you have the agents, the Andri agents running, which make your work even faster and more efficient. I'm very curious how your work week will look like if you have an agent running at that pace and quality.
I think the job then becomes one of kind of supervision and legal strategy. And are you kind of it still needs to be some kind of direction. I'm sure it will get there eventually, but kind of you still need to prompt it. Right? You still need to. This is the case that we're looking at. This is kind of the results that we're trying to achieve. This is what the client's objectives are. So there still needs to be that prompt engineering element. How do we go from still needing that human prompt bit to kind of it just doing everything on its own? That's the next. I think that's the next phase.
But if you are going to supervision, you also need 100% trust in the system.
Yes.
How does Andri make sure that you have that trust 100% also in the future?
I don't know. I don't know how you get to 100%. There's always going to be, even with human lawyers, you still need to check their work, and they still get it wrong. Whereas with AI, I think those errors are less, and the tools are much more powerful. How you get to kind of 100% perfection and then be able to guarantee that, I just don't know.
No, but for now, you really trust the system. Yeah. And what's just interesting, you just mentioned, you talk with a client and you ask them, is it okay for you if we use Andri to speed up our work? Do you have this conversation with clients now all the time?
It depends on the matter. So if it's a sensitive case and we're uploading kind of their own conversations and kind of personal data, then it's a bit more sensitive. So we have that conversation. And on most kind of routine matters where it's not as sensitive, that's not as important to have that conversation. But all our clients know that we use AI in the delivery of legal services,
and they're okay with it.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we have technology focused clients, so they're already technology savvy. They want us to provide fast advice and cost effective advice and smart advice, right? So AI just makes us all better lawyers. It enables us to give kind of a superior service at speed and at a lower cost. So our clients definitely get that and support it, right? They want us to be using the latest technology.
And everyone in your team is using Andri. How do you make sure that everyone is using it as good as possible?
That's a good point. So we've had some sessions with the Andri team to kind of teach them how to use it. I know they're bringing on features all the time, so we probably do need to have a more regular kind of teaching with the Andri guys to make sure that everyone's using it to the best of its ability all the time. Because perhaps sometimes we might add a feature might not aware of it, might not be using it.
But that's the nice thing about working with a company like Andri, that they can have those sessions with you.
Yes. Again, going back to you can't really talk to anyone at Google about anything.
You can try. I don't know what is going to happen, but I don't think they're going to sit down with you and give you a workshop on their tool.
Exactly.
And that's what is possible with Andri. And that's also, I can imagine that also when you hire, say, a new lawyer, that you also ask them about working with AI and getting them on speed as fast as possible with working with Andri. Then you could ask Andri, like, hey, we have a new lawyer, we're going to hire a new lawyer. Can you walk them through the tool?
Yes. I mean, our hiring process, we kind of put AI front and center, right? So we want junior lawyers that are embracing technology, that are excited about using AI. There's some people, actually, my wife's a very senior lawyer, and she's somewhat suspicious about AI. She's still not kind of on board of, she worries about where it's all going.
And you showed her Andri?
Not yet. No. But it's I've been trying to, but yeah, she's dubious about all AI use and kind of professional services. But we want our lawyers, but we want them to embrace AI and not be suspicious, right?
Well, what kind of conversation you don't have with young lawyers you want to hire? You really ask questions about, what do you know about AI? How do you work with AI? Did you use it before?
Yes.
Those kind of questions?
Yes. I mean, but you need to be, I think as a lawyer, you need to be always curious about, developments that are happening in our industry. And, we work at the cutting edge at LawBEAM. We want our lawyers to be, the best equipped. So if you don't have that curiosity, you don't care about, how can I operate at my maximum capacity, then that's not a good place to be at. You kind of want to be embracing technology. So we'd expect it as standard. If any law students are watching, we should always be experimenting with all types of different AI models.
So you're running a small firm, but you are in a space that's going very fast, but you're also competing against bigger law firms, very big law firms. Is Andri giving you the edge you need to get that, like, the playing field at the same level?
Yes, I mean 100%. We're a boutique firm, right? So we can't pretend that we can compete with the likes of kind of Kirkland or Clifford Chance. But the whole proposition behind LawBEAM was to build a new type of legal practice, which was driven by artificial intelligence, right? At its heart, our key insight is that laws and regulations are just information, and information is just content. And now, for the first time, we have a type of intelligence that can not just review or analyze that content, but kind of understand it and advise on it. So that's what we're bringing to our practice. And that's what Andri gives us. It's that ability to compete with an army of lawyers, right? So our one lawyer can match 100 lawyers somewhere else because of their superior technology. I see us very much like the Jedi Knights in Star Wars against kind of the empire of big law, and kind of Andri is our force, right? That kind of helps us give us our edge.
If you look in the future, you can, I don't know, we go 5 years further in time. What is the job you just said? Maybe a lawyer will turn into a supervisor. You have been a young lawyer. You have been there in 2008, analyzing all those paper trails. All that work is going to disappear, I think, for the next generation of lawyers. So what kind of lawyers will we have in the future that are now starting their job and having a tool like Andri at the knob of their finger?
It's a great question, and it'd be difficult to predict where it leads for the profession, right? What we know is that now at LawBEAM, we're competing with some kind of major firms, and we're advising some very big clients around the world using technology. Right, and that's kind of a breakthrough for the legal market. In the future, I think we talked about before. You will have that disruption at the lower end of kind of trainees, junior associates, perhaps at some point senior associates as well. So the hourly billing model, which law firms are built on, that just gets wholly disrupted. And I think you'll see more kind of fixed fee billing and kind of value billing that kind of AI allows you to do, because not everything's tied to the hour. But I think the future of law will be, my prediction is that you'll have kind of top-rated lawyers supervising AI agents and how they do the work. So you'll need less of the kind of the armies of junior lawyers. That will just all fall away. What won't fall away is the kind of human touch at the top, because in any kind of crisis or an emergency scenario, you want to be able to reach out to your trusted advisor, and you're probably going to do that on the phone, and you're going to want to speak to someone that you trust. The client cares less about how the work is done, just that they get the right answer, or that they are represented. So that trusted advisor piece, I think that will stay, because that's kind of core to how humans interact with each other. But the work, I think that's going to be fundamentally different.
What would you tell other boutique law firms who are thinking about adopting Andri in their workflow?
Do it sooner rather than later. If you want to stay relevant in the practice of law, you're going to need to have the most cutting edge AI tools, right? And we found Andri to be a phenomenal partner in our practice. And if you want to help your clients win, again, you should be using Andri, because that just helps you give better advice, faster, cheaper. All those things. We're using it more and more all the time, and the tools just getting better and better as well. And it's kind of enabled LawBEAM to kind of grow rapidly because we're leveraging that technology. And we've gone from kind of 0 to 100 clients in a few short years, and we're just getting more and more activity all the time. I mean, we're doing phenomenal business off the back of using AI at the heart of our operations.
Thank you. We're done.